Okay, today I want to talk about electronics, and I'm going to use the word Pinnacle. So, in my opinion, and what some will say, is that regardless of the technology from the wayside or from the past, they always had a day when they reached their pinnacle or they were in a heyday, meaning the manufacturers made a very high quality top-end unit, and in some cases those top-end or high-quality full-featured units weren't even sold very much because people wanted to save money and they bought the more mass-produced item. Once these units are out of production, these higher-end, higher quality full-featured units, once they're out of production, they're gone forever. And with any technology that becomes obsolete, you can never go back. So what I want to start off by talking about here are VCRs. Right here is the model SLV R5UC. It's a Sony Super VHS Hi-Fi VCR. Take a look at the quality of this thing. It's absolutely incredible, okay? It's very detailed. It's got a flip front. It has all sorts of inputs on the front. It has two inputs on the back. It even has a digital on-screen editor. It's got full VU meters and a full time and second counter. Okay, also has a jog shuttle dial as well as a bunch of other buttons. When I take a look at the remote for this particular unit, has a lot of functions on it. Now I don't have batteries in here, but there's a whole LCD display. If I open this up, there's even additional buttons which would help you program and do editing and all sorts of things. This was a consumer unit, so even though it does have editing and additional features, this was a consumer unit, and they only made this for a couple years. And I can tell you, whether it be Sony, JVC, or any other manufacturer, you're usually going to only have one or two models that really hit the top like this. Not a lot of people bought them, but if you have one, you definitely have something that's rare, and you have something that's going to be a little bit more unique. Because up above, and the bottom one here, the R5UC Sony, is actually from 1991. The one up here, this is from the late 90s. It may even be from the early 2000s. What it is a Panasonic Hi-Fi VCR, and it just has a basic display. It does have inputs in the front and in the back, and the remote does what you need it to do. I mean, it's not a bad remote, but I want you to take a look here and compare them. You're looking at a VCR from what I would call in the pinnacle or at the peak of popularity of VHS, compared to a more mass-produced unit that was more toward end of life. So, bottom line, you know, if you really want something that's high quality, you want to get something that was from back in the day before they discontinued something that was more expensive. Here's another example. This right here is a Technics tape deck. It's model RS-B755. This thing is a 3-head unit. It's got quartz direct drive, meaning that the actual speed of the tape is computer controlled. It's got really nice fluorescent VU meters, lots of adjustments, lots of controls, and it has Dolby BC, all sorts of things here. And what's interesting is this particular model at the time was very expensive. You really couldn't find this in a lot of places, but if you did happen to buy one, you paid quite a bit for it. But it really is the best of the best because it has all the options and bells and whistles. Up here is a unit from the late 90s, and this is actually probably before tapes were dead, but more toward the end of the line. This one does have a fluorescent display and has a bunch of buttons, but it doesn't have nearly as many features as the one below does. And if you were to take a look at the construction of these, and I don't care whether you're looking at the tape decks or you're looking at the VCRs, this one on the bottom here is made significantly better. This has a lot of neat features. This thing actually has a motorized eject. And again, the average person would say, why would I ever have wanted a motorized eject? Well, again, that's my point. This is a pinnacle of tape decks. It doesn't get much better than this. Now, this is not the best comparison, but it's really the only one I can do. In the mid-80s, when Beta was still around, this is one of Sanyo's top-of-the-line Beta units, okay? Take a look here. And, you know, it has a bunch of options. It has VU meters, Open this up. It has a bunch of different adjusters. The remote for this one is not all that spectacular, but the fact is, this unit right here is hi-fi, and there were not too many more Beta hi-fis after this because Beta went away, VHS took over. If you want a Beta deck or you need one for some reason, you're going to want to get one back in the day when they made these very well and when they were full featured, and that's what you're looking at here. Up above, now this is actually not a newer unit. This top one is actually older than the one on the bottom, but it's an example of a unit that really doesn't have a lot of features. And so, you know, while you may find these out there, typically you'd be finding something like this that was made after the one at the bottom, and you know, it would be a little bit more basic. So, bottom line, if you're collecting electronics, or you're transferring old media, or you have a use for something old, see if you can find, whether it be at a thrift store or a garage sale or eBay, try to find something that was made very well during the pinnacle days of any technology, because you'll get a much better unit that does a lot more and will probably always have a little bit more resale than the ones that were more mass-produced that didn't have the features. Hope you learned a little something from this. Some of this is my opinion and perspective, but thought I'd talk about it. Thanks.